All right, welcome. So you've probably noticed it, right? More and more MacBooks popping up in meetings all across your business. Well, that brings a huge IT challenge. How on earth do you manage them all? Today, we are putting the two heavyweights head-to-head, the Apple Specialist, Jamf Pro, versus the all-in-one giant, Microsoft Intune. Let's dive right in.
I mean, it's happening everywhere. From startups in Shoreditch to massive corporations in Manchester, Apple devices aren't just for the creative department anymore. They are now a core part of the business infrastructure. And look, this isn't some niche trend. It's a massive shift in how businesses operate.
And that right there is the multi-million-pound question, isn't it? With all this growth comes a giant headache for IT teams. How do you make sure every single one of those MacBooks, iPhones, and iPads is secure, up-to-date, and actually working properly? The answer is a solid mobile device management platform, or what we all call an MDM.
So here's how we're going to break it all down for you. First, we'll look at the core challenge. Then we'll meet our two contenders, pit their features against each other, dig into the cost, and then wrap it all up with a simple framework to help you make your final call.
You know, this whole debate, it really just boils down to one single question. Do you want a tool that is an absolute master of one thing, or do you want a jack of all trades? It's the classic battle, specialization versus versatility. Okay, so you've got to understand the core philosophy of each one. Jamf Pro. Think of it as the Apple Specialist. It was built from the ground up for one reason and one reason only, to make the Apple experience flawless. Then you've got Microsoft Intune, the unified generalist. Its whole purpose is to give your IT team one single dashboard, a single pane of glass to control everything: Windows, Android, Linux, and Apple devices. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this all play out in the real world? This quick comparison gives us a fantastic snapshot of where they really differ before we get down to the nitty-gritty.
This table right here, it basically lays out the whole battlefield. Take zero-touch deployment. That's getting a new Mac to an employee ready to go without IT ever having to physically touch it. Jamf is seamless with Apple's own system. Intune is getting better for sure, hooking into both Apple's system and Microsoft's Azure AD. And the licensing model is a huge deal. Jamf charges you per device. Intune charges per user, and it's often just bundled in with stuff you already have. You can see their different worlds colliding right there.
All right, let's get to the main event, the feature face-off. We're going to zoom in on the three things that every IT manager loses sleep over: getting new devices set up, keeping them secure, and managing all the software.
First up, deployment. And honestly, Jamf Pro is pretty much the gold standard here. Its connection to Apple Business Manager is so deep, so native, you can literally ship a brand new Mac to a new hire, they open the box, and it configures itself. For creative companies or teams spread all over the country, that's an absolute game changer.
Now, let's be fair. Microsoft Intune has come a long, long way. It does support Apple Business Manager now, and it hooks into Azure AD. But let's be real, the consensus in the IT world is pretty clear. If you need deep, complex customization for your Macs, it just doesn't have the same muscle that Jamf does. Not yet, anyway.
Now, security. This is where you can really see those different philosophies clash. Jamf goes deep. It gives you incredibly specific, granular control over your Macs, with powerful scripting and automation. Intune, on the other hand, goes wide. Its big strength is giving you a single, unified security view across your entire estate: Windows, Mac, mobile, all of it, all plugged into Azure and Microsoft Defender.
Okay, but what about apps? You know, keeping everything updated, patching security holes. This is where the difference is just night and day. And this number says it all. Jamf Pro comes with over 190 pre-built scripts to patch common Mac applications right out of the box. That's huge.
Look, Intune is fantastic if you're living in a Microsoft world. It keeps all those apps perfectly up to date. But what if your business runs on things like the Adobe Creative Suite or other specialist Mac software? Intune just doesn't have that deep, third-party toolbox that Jamf brings to the table. It's a major difference.
This quote from someone deep in the UK Apple specialist community, it just says it all, doesn't it? Jamf is the #1 choice for managing Macs, unless a little factor called cost is driving the decision. Which, of course, brings us to the money.
Because let's face it, the coolest features in the world don't mean a thing if they completely blow your budget, right? And the way these two are priced could not be more different. You really have to get your head around this.
So Jamf Pro is pretty simple.
You pay per device. You're going to be looking at something in the ballpark of $3.50 to £4 per device every month. Now, that might sound like more at first, but for businesses where, say, over 70% of your computers are Macs, the value you get from a specialist tool is often a no-brainer.
But then you've got Intune's ace in the hole. Its secret weapon, really. For so many UK businesses, Intune isn't an extra cost. Why? Because it's already baked into the Microsoft 365 plans you're probably already paying for. If it's effectively free, well, that is a very, very powerful argument.
Okay, we've covered the philosophies, the features, the cost. Now it's time to put it all together. Let's give you a clear, actionable framework to help you make the right choice for your business.
So, when is Jamf Pro the absolute no-brainer? Well, if you tick these boxes, if your company is mostly Mac, if you rely on complex software like Adobe Suite and need that deep automation, if your IT team is ready to become true Mac experts, and of course, if the budget is there for a best-in-class tool. And on the flip side, when does choosing Microsoft Intune make perfect sense? It's when your #1 goal is unified management, one dashboard to rule them all. It's when Macs are a smaller part of your overall tech puzzle, you're already deep in the Microsoft world, and, frankly, when keeping costs down is your top priority.
But hold on, what if you don't have to choose? A lot of bigger companies are going for a hybrid approach, and it's actually pretty clever. They use Intune for the big picture, overall compliance and security reporting across all devices, but they let Jamf do the heavy lifting for the day-to-day, deep management of the Macs. You get the best of both.
All right, so here's your homework. Your action plan. First, get a real count. What is your Mac to PC ratio? Second, check your Microsoft 365 license. Are you already paying for Intune? Third, list out those critical Mac apps you can't live without. Fourth, do the maths on the total cost. And finally, if Macs are a big deal for you, please talk to an expert. This is your roadmap.
And I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. This choice isn't just about the computers you have today. It's about building an IT strategy that's ready for the technology your business will need tomorrow. Thanks for watching.